guest today is New York Times bestselling author, personal finance author, Beth Kobliner. Beth, thanks for stopping by. And we're going to talk about your nearly revised edition of the iconic money guide, Get a Financial Life, Personal Finance in Your 20s and 30s. Beth, thanks for stopping by. And this is the hard
It's
part.
great to be here.
Saving, especially if you're younger. You hear about retirement, if retirement's even a possibility for the ones that are now in their 20s and 30s, and how do they get started when this population, the 20s and 30s, really does not think about tomorrow. They focus on the present.
Right, right. I'd say this generation of people in their 20s know that they're facing really tough times. I mean, it's no secret. They're coming out, they're having trouble finding jobs, they're worried about AI. There's all these pressures. There are gambling websites, there's prediction markets that are tempting them. They get most of their financial information on social media. So it's a crazy time. But I do think that there are some steps young people can take. And I have seen it over the last 30 years when you explain it to people. There's some things you can do automatically. Every time you get some money, put 10% of it away in a high yield savings account. Put a little bit away in your company 401k. If you don't have a company 401k, IRA, yes, it has the word retirement in it, but that's a misnomer. They're really super smart investment plans that will help your money grow exponentially quickly because they're tax favored. Open an ETF, a stock index ETF at companies, and I don't get any kickback from these companies, Vanguard or Schwab or Fidelity. There's some smart things could do. I put it in my book. And even if it's as little, with these ETFs, you can start with as little as $1. You can put away $1. And if it's in a diversified stock index fund, and you're a young person, if you just ignore it and leave it there, it will grow. And it will grow much quicker than if it were sitting in your sock drawer.
And but when you talk to them about this, what do they say? It's you really have to educate. That's the problem, right? It's not this quick,
Yeah.
okay, you need to be saving. They're looking at you. No, I can't even pay my bills. How am I going to
Right.
save?
But you know something, Neil, that was the same 30 years ago.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
I,
always
I
been.
have people coming over to me, right? And I have people coming over to me in their 60s and 70s and saying, you know what? I read your book when it first came out, and I now have hundreds of thousands of dollars more than I would have. Remember, back in that day, my generation, we were called the slackers. So people really didn't care about saving. This generation, Gen Z, they're better at savings, actually. And this is national statistics show that they're more mindful of savings. They're more mindful of putting money into a 401k because I think they've seen COVID, they've seen these really sharp economic declines. The job market is really hard for them now. So I think they are a bit more maybe sensible than we were. But I also think there are these competitions for their attention, like gambling sites, like, prediction markets, that they have to really be smart about. I'm going to stay the course, do the right thing, that even if it's small amounts of money, I'm going to have it automatically done so I don't have to think about it. And that's one of the great things about technology now. You can set it up, set it and forget it, and let that money grow.
So let's talk about these apps, not those apps. I think another big problem with young people are eating out all the time. So they basically are getting
Yeah.
DoorDash or Uber Eats, and that is
Yeah,
a surplus, right? That they're spending
absolutely.
instead of cooking for themselves.
Right. I think that's really true, that it's so much easier now to order things, get the food in 10 minutes, that type of thing. But I also think the sort of general overall thought that people should have of all ages is don't spend more money than you have. It sounds so basic, like, oh, yeah, don't spend more money than I have. But when you're putting something on a credit card, you're doing a buy now, pay later deal, which are, all over the place now. You are spending money you don't have. A lot of times you're like, oh, I'm only paying the minimum on my credit card. Well, that credit card's charging you on average 22% interest, which is the highest average it's been in my lifetime that I could remember. And so it's really important to say, is it worth it? And just to do, and I think it is education. It's like, instead of doing the DoorDash 5 days a week, maybe I'll do it once a week, splurge
Right.
on
Exactly.
weekend,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to put that money somewhere else. But I really think it's hard for people to do that, having it automatically. Everything that comes in, 10% comes out. It goes into a high yield savings account or
Mhm.
ETF, a stock index fund. And I describe all that in Get a Financial Life. But I think it's really important for young people to know there are solutions, even if you're not making a lot of money right now.
When you think about budgeting, it's the hardest conversation with everybody because you see it on paper. Like I check my balance every day, like clockwork, every day. And I forgot today, so I have to. I check my balance every day in all my accounts
Do
and
it now.
everything because, but I will
Right,
right when I get off with you. That
right,
you're like, why? What is the process? What is
right,
happening? What's the
right.
reason? Yeah, kind of explain.
Right. You think back, it's like, oh, did I really need to do that splurge at the makeup store? Did I really need to eat that meal? Was it really worth it? Do I really remember it as this amazing experience? And I think that budgeting is really hard. I honestly have never believed so much in budgets in the sense that I think taking 10 to 20% off the top before you even see the money is the right thing to do. And if you get a little raise, then put that raise into savings, not into spending. And I think that is sort of the secret to it all. If you put 10% in your 401k and 10% in a savings account, even if you don't have a lot, you live on what's left. And if you could live at home for a couple of years with your parents, I know it's hard for young people to hear that, and parents aren't thrilled about it either, but it's a good thing to do if you can swing it because you can save a lot of money in the process. And that's the money you can maybe one day get out and rent a place on your own, or
Right.
maybe even save up for a down payment on one day. I think it's overwhelming for young people, but it's doable.
And in your book, you explain those things in detail.
Yes.
And what is the reason why people should pick up your book? Tell me the biggest thing.
Look, I think it's the best graduation gift you can give to someone, or gift to someone in their 20s who is sort of feeling overwhelmed. There's AI, there's all these promises of different investments. They're on social media, seeing how the great lifestyles of people living, but they're smart enough. This generation is smart enough to know this is advertisement, this is influencers, this is people trying to talk me into things. And I think giving them this gift, and I tell parents a lot because parents will say, my kids won't listen to me. Put it on the kitchen table, leave it for them, on their bed. Whatever it is, I think young people really want to know. This is the time. And I think this generation really wants to know how they can get a financial life. And I do think it's doable. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is doable.
All right, best place people can check out your book and buy your book. Where can they go?
Sure. It's online. It's wherever books are sold. Every single place that sells a book, you'll get a financial life. In bookstores, if you want to walk into a bookstore, that's a great place to get it too. So I think that this is the time. It's a really hard time in so many ways. There's so fears of AI and will we all have jobs? And I think it's important to take a breath, go back to basics, and how can we start in a smart, incremental way to get out of debt, start to save, begin to invest.
All right. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Great. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back.